And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Moving into the coastal water forecast here for the south coast of the Panhandle. East winds 20 knots for Thursday. Up here to the north, looking at northeast winds 20 to 25 knots. Lincoln Isle, Glacier Bay, Stevens Passage, winds north at 30 knots, and northwest winds 20 for Clarence Strait. And for Friday, southeast at 15 for Clarence Strait. Still north at about 20 knots there for Stevens Passage, and 30-knot winds continue for Lincoln Isle right out of the north with 10-foot seas. Small craft advisories here along the coast. East winds 25 knots on the south coast. And for the central coast, east at 30 knots, and the north coast down to 15 knots from the east. Cook Inlet tomorrow, north winds 10 to 15. Northwest 25, Kamishak Bay, and about 30 knots for the Barren Islands. North Gulf Coast, variable winds 10 to 15 knots, and a north breeze at 10 for Prince William Sound. For the Sound on Friday, northeast at 15 knots. North Gulf Coast, northeast winds 20 knots. North at 30 for the Barren Islands. Northwest at 30 for Kamishak Bay. And Cook Inlet, north winds 15 to as high as 25 knots. Kodiak Island for Thursday, northwest winds 20 knots, northwest at 20 for Bristol Bay. Alaska Peninsula here, northwest 25 to 30 knots. And the day on Friday, even stronger winds here for the peninsula. North to northwest winds 30 to 35 knots, with north winds at 25 knots now for Bristol Bay. And Kodiak Island, north to northwest winds 25 knots. Eastern Aleutians tomorrow, northwest winds 20 to 30 knots, north at 15 for Adak and Atka, and southeast winds 20 knots for the western Aleutians. And for Friday, for the western areas here west of Adak, looking at south to southeast winds 15 to 25 knots, north to northwest at 15 knots for the central Aleutians, and northwest winds 25 to 35 knots there for the eastern Aleutians with the gale warnings for Unalaska Island. And for the southwest coast, northwesterlies tomorrow at 20 to 30 knots, north at 15, Norton Sound, and northwest 15 for St. Lawrence Island and St. Matthew Island, north at 20 for the Pribilofs. For the day on Friday, St. Paul and St. George, small craft advisories, northwesterlies at 25 knots, west 25 for St. Matthew Island, and the southwest coast, northwest winds 20 to 30 knots, north at 10 for Norton Sound, and 15 knots from the northwest for St. Lawrence Island. Eastern and central Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow, east-northeasterlies at about 15 knots. Otherwise, east winds at 20 knots for the western Arctic coast, and the Chukchi Sea, west to northwest winds at 15. And then for the day on Friday, Chukchi Sea, variable winds 10 to 15 knots here up to about Cape Lisburne. And the western Arctic coast, west-east winds at 20 knots, east at 15 for the central coast, then back up to 20 knots there for the eastern Beaufort Sea.